Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the news from SABA Satellite Channel. From Marib, here are tonight's top stories.
PLC condemns Iran flight to Houthi-held Sana'a airport, urges international action.
Saudi-led coalition warns of decisive response to Houthi escalation.
Geneva Forum highlights torture and disappearances in Houthi detention network.
Welcome back. The Presidential Leadership Council has strongly condemned Iran's operation of a direct flight to Houthi-held Sana'a airport, describing it as a flagrant violation of Yemen's sovereignty and international law. Meeting in an emergency session chaired by President Rashid al-Alimi, the Council said the move reflects what it described as Houthi terrorist militias' continued subordination to Iran's regional agenda and its exploitation of state institutions to undermine Yemen's sovereignty and stability. The Council received briefings from Prime Minister Shaya Zindani and senior government officials who warned that the direct flight represents a dangerous escalation and a new challenge to Yemen's exclusive authority over its airspace and ports of entry.
Council members said the latest development follows a pattern of Houthi actions that have obstructed peace efforts, escalated military activity, threatened international shipping, and deepened Yemen's economic and humanitarian crisis. The Council warned that the Iranian move poses a direct threat to regional and international security, reaffirming the state's commitment to safeguarding Yemen's sovereignty through all available political, diplomatic, legal, and security measures. The Council also called on the United Nations Security Council and the international partners to move beyond condemnation by adopting stronger measures to curb Iranian support for the Houthi militia and prevent Yemeni territory and airspace from being used to advance stabilizing regional agendas.
In another strong response to Iranian violations, the Saudi-led military coalition in Yemen has pledged a firm and decisive response to any attempt to target Saudi Arabia or violate Yemen's sovereignty. Coalition spokesman Turki al-Maliki said the coalition would respond with unprecedented force against any threats to the kingdom and its citizens or Yemen's territorial integrity. Al-Maliki dismissed recent statements by the Houthi militia as an attempt to divert attention from its grave violations against the Yemeni people, mounted economic hardship, and growing tribal and public rejection in areas under its control. He added that the kingdom, the coalition, the international partners have consistently supported initiatives to alleviate the suffering of the Yemeni people and advance a comprehensive political settlement. Al-Maliki noted that the Yemeni government endorsed the UN-backed roadmap while the Houthi militia rejected it and escalated attacks on international shipping in the Red Sea and Bab el-Mandeb Strait. He added that those actions had exposed Yemen's ports, airports, and economic infrastructure to extensive damage, further worsening the humanitarian and economic situation.
In development news, member of the Presidential Leadership Council Salim Al-Khanbashi called for expanding humanitarian assistance across Hadramaut during talks with a delegation from the World Food Programme led by Deputy Country Director Samantha Chatterjee. Al-Khanbashi stressed the need to scale up relief operations in response to worsening living conditions, with particular emphasis on expanding school feeding programs and improving food security across the governorate. He also urged stronger partnerships with civil society organizations and the private sector to maximize the impact of humanitarian interventions. Al-Khanbashi also reaffirmed the Presidential Leadership Council's and the local authorities' commitment to supporting the World Food Programme's operations in Hadramaut and other liberated governorates.
In Security Affairs, Minister of Interior Major General Ibrahim Haidan discussed expanding cooperation with the Regional Operational Center against trafficking and smuggling to strengthen Yemen's efforts to combat human trafficking. The discussions also focused on plans to establish a dedicated anti-human trafficking unit within the Ministry of Interior, aimed at improving prevention, investigations, victim protection, and law enforcement in line with international standards. Minister Haidan reaffirmed the ministry's commitment to strengthening its partnership with the regional center and benefiting from its expertise. to build institutional capacity and enhance efforts to combat human trafficking networks. For his part, ROC Director Operation Harvey Jeme highlighted the center's regional programs supporting law enforcement agencies and expressed the center's readiness to expand cooperation with Yemen through training initiatives and joint projects aimed at strengthening regional security.
In Germany, Minister of Planning and International Cooperation Afrah Azouba has discussed expanding cooperation with the German-Yemeni Association to promote cultural diplomacy and to strengthen ties between Yemen and Germany. Meeting in Berlin with the association's leadership headed by Gudrun Orth, the minister highlighted the importance of showcasing Yemen's rich cultural heritage and supporting initiatives that present a balanced and positive image of the country. Azouba praised the association's role in fostering friendship and mutual understanding between the Yemeni and German peoples, while emphasizing the value of stronger partnerships with German civil society in support of Yemen's recovery and development. For her part, Orth reaffirmed the organization's commitment to promoting Yemeni-German relations through cultural and community initiatives and commended its ongoing cooperation with the Yemeni embassy in Berlin and the Ministry of Planning.
Also in Berlin, the planning minister held talks with German lawmakers on strengthening development cooperation and supporting Yemen's recovery efforts. Meeting with Alexander Radwan, chair of the German Arab Parliamentary Relations Group, Azouba expressed the government's appreciation for Germany's long-standing support for Yemen's development and humanitarian efforts. Azouba briefed the German side on the economic and development challenges facing Yemen, highlighting the impact of the conflict on infrastructure, public services and economic recovery, while outlining the government's ongoing reform program to strengthening institutions and improving essential services. She also endorsed the importance of building on the long-standing partnership between the two countries and called on for expanding development cooperation to meet Yemen's current recovery needs.
Meanwhile, Dr. Afrah Azouba also met representatives of the leading international organizations to strengthen cooperation on Yemen's development and recovery priorities. The meeting held on sidelines of the Hamburg Sustainability Conference 2026 brought together representatives of Hope Vision, CARE, Save the Children, and Oxfam. Azouba emphasized the importance of strategic partnerships between the government and international organizations, calling for stronger knowledge sharing, realistic project evaluations, and greater use of the lessons learned to improve future programs and ensure more sustainable results for communities across Yemen. Representatives of the organizations reaffirmed their commitment to supporting Yemen's development and priorities and welcome continued dialogue with the government and maximize effectiveness of humanitarian and development assistance.
In Rome and on the sidelines of the FAO Global Conference on Smart Agriculture, Minister of Agriculture, Irrigation and Fisheries Salim Al-Suqatri discussed ways to strengthen cooperation with the FAO to improve agricultural supply chains and project delivery in Yemen. During talks with FAO Chief Economist and Assistant Director General Maximio Terrero, Al-Suqatri described FAO as a key technical partner supporting Yemen's agriculture sector and stressed the importance of closer coordination with the organization's office in Yemen, including facilitating the entry of agriculture inputs and streamlining customs and tax exemptions. For his part, Terrero reaffirmed FAO's commitment to Yemen, highlighting ongoing efforts to modernize procurement and supply chain policies, expand the authority of the FAO office in Yemen, and increase the use of locally sourced goods to support the national economy and improve the efficiency of development projects.
On the human rights front, a Yemeni rights organization has renewed calls for accountability over alleged torture and enforced disappearances in Houthi detention facilities. Speaking during a human rights forum held on the sidelines of the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, IRADA Organization Against Torture and Enforced Disappearance said it documented 752 cases of enforced disappearance, including 237 children in Houthi detention facilities since 2014. The forum, attended by diplomats, United Nations human rights officials, international organizations, and civil society representatives, heard testimonies from former detainees, legal experts, and rights advocates describing torture, arbitrary detention, and the continuing suffering of families seeking information about missing relatives. During the event, the organization also launched a report titled Behind the Walls of Silence, which documents the location and internal layout of a secret Houthi detention facility using maps and investigated evidence.
In diplomatic affairs, Yemen and Turkey reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening bilateral cooperation and expanding coordination on regional issues. Yemen's ambassador to Turkey, Mohammed Tariq, held talks with Turkish Deputy Foreign Minister Ali Ozel. The meeting reviewed ways to deepen cooperation across a range of sectors, while also addressing visa and consular matters aimed at improving services for Yemeni citizens residing in Turkey. The two sides also exchanged views on regional and international developments, reaffirming the importance of continued coordination and consultation in support of shared interest and long-standing friendship between Yemen and Turkey.
In Geneva, an international exhibition highlighting the humanitarian impact of the conflict in Yemen has opened at the United Nations Square during the 62nd session of the United Nations Human Rights Council. Organized by the Humanitarian League for Rights and the Cultural and Humanitarian Arts Caravan, the exhibition titled Mirrors of the Shadow of the Unseen uses documentary artwork and visual storytelling to draw international attention to violations committed by the Houthi militia against civilians. The exhibition explores the impact of the conflict on state institutions and essential sectors including education, healthcare, and the economy, while also documenting the environmental, social, and humanitarian consequences of the war. It also highlights damage of Yemen's cultural identity and historical heritage, presenting a visual testimony aimed at raising international awareness of the suffering of Yemeni civilians. That's all for tonight. Thank you for watching and have a good time.
Have a good time.